Who is the best quarterback in the NFL? It's a debate that's been had for years, but never has really had a definitive answer. When Joe Montana was on top, there was John Elway. When Tom Brady was in his prime, so was Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. And now that Brees, Brady, and Rodgers are seemingly at the back end of their career, making way for new, younger, and fresher faces to take their spot, I thought it would be an interesting time to see where all of the 32 projected starting quarterbacks stand. So this is what I hope to accomplish this week on Worst Take. I'm going to rank all 32 projected starters, put them in tiers, and see where everybody stacks up going into this season. Let's do it. When it comes to quarterbacks, it's hard to rank them on a hard 1 to 32 model. It leaves a lot of gray areas, and quarterbacks are a position unlike any other that aren't ranked on number value, but ranked on what kind of value they bring to a franchise. So instead of just ranking them objectively 1 through 32, what I'm going to do is put all the quarterbacks in 7 different tiers. And those tiers are going to be ranked against each other. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first tier to this list, which is the ultimate tier that any quarterback hopes to get to throughout a long career. This tier isn't really judged on the same basis as the rest of the tier. This tier really exists in its own realm. It's not a part of the regular 1 through 32 ranking because these players have reached legendary status. So this tier is what I call the living legend tier. Now the criteria to be in this group is simple. You have to be a quarterback who is considered a hands down, unanimous, undoubted, unquestioned first ballot Hall of Famer. And right now in the NFL, there are only 2 quarterbacks who fit that build currently. And that is, of course, Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Now, when it comes to Tom Brady, what else is there really to say about Tom Brady? Love him or hate him, he is undoubtedly one of the best quarterbacks of all time. If not, and I will argue, he is the greatest quarterback of all time. When you talk about what he's accomplished, when you talk about what he's done and still continues to do in his mid-40s, you can't say anything really about Tom Brady. There is nothing left for Tom Brady to prove in his career. He's won 6 Super Bowl championships. He's been to 9 Super Bowls, which is ridiculous. He has 3 MVPs, and he has an insane win percentage of 78% over a 19-year career. That is literally 2 decades of dominance. So Tom Brady doesn't deserve to just be ranked among his peers because he has no peers when it comes to the NFL. He is one of the greatest of all time. He is to the NFL what Michael Jordan is to the NBA. A walking legend who, as long as he can breathe, should never be doubted. Now, Drew Brees is a more interesting case because Drew Brees is probably the most underrated first ballot Hall of Famer to have ever played the game. Throughout his brilliant career, he has been overshadowed by guys who were generationally great. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He's never had his moment to shine, but if you look at the numbers he's produced and the records he's broke in an era where he was playing against 2 all-time greats at all times, it's simply amazing what he's able to accomplish. He is the all-time great who never really got his moment to shine. If Tom Brady is the Michael Jordan of the NFL, Drew Brees has to be the Akeem Olajuwon in the NFL. No QB has thrown for more yards. He's only 19 touchdowns away from breaking the all-time passing touchdown mark. No quarterback has ever been more prolific and as productive as Drew Brees has been throughout his career. He has made passing for 5,000 yards in a single season seem like a routine event. Drew Brees' legacy and career is a step above almost all of his peers outside of Tom Brady. And that is why Drew Brees is a living legend. So now that we got the legends out the way, and keep in mind that the legends don't really factor in with the rest of the quarterback rankings because they are legends. They don't have to be judged by what other players are doing right now because of their legacy and how long they have dominated in this game. With that being said, we're going to move on to the rankings of all the normal quarterbacks in NFL, and I'm going to start from the bottom tier and work my way up. Now, speaking of that bottom tier is called the journeyman tier. Now, to be in this tier, you either have to be somebody who is seen as a plan B option at quarterback or a not optimal option at quarterback, or you have to be a quarterback who inspires very little hope in their teammates and in the fan base alike. If you would have told me when Jameis Winston got selected #1 overall by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that he would be among the worst few quarterbacks in the NFL, I would have thought you were crazy. Because when Jameis Winston came out of Florida State, he was seen as a surefire Andrew Luck level #1 overall franchise quarterback, done deal, set it in stone, but he has never come close to reaching that potential. Instead, he has brought nothing but immaturity, turnovers, and bad quarterback play in his few years in the NFL. He went from a future lock franchise guy to a dude who gets yanked routinely for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And when it only takes Ryan Fitzpatrick to start a quarterback controversy and you're supposed to be a franchise quarterback, then that's how you know you've hit rock bottom. Now, I hope Jameis Winston gets his act together on and off the field and is able to become somewhat of what he was supposed to be. But for right now, it looks like he's not going to be that. Because if Jameis doesn't get his act together in the next year or 2 or 3, he will simply just be out of the league. Now, rounding out the rest of this group, you have the usual suspects. You have Case Keenum, you have Joe Flacco, you have Nick Foles. And honestly, it says a lot about how far we've come at quarterback play in 2019 that those are the guys at the bottom of the NFL. You have 2 people who have been Super Bowl MVPs and have won Super Bowl championships in that bottom group. And you have Case Keenum, who has proven that he can take you pretty far in the playoffs if you have a good enough team around him. Now, the downside to all of these quarterbacks is they have severe limitations that you have to build around that can be extremely frustrating. Outside of Jameis Winston, these guys are starting to get up there in age, which means that their ceiling is significantly lower. And they have all shown that they have severe consistency issues, which makes one of these guys feel more like a Band-Aid than a solution. Now, the next tier for these quarterbacks is one that everybody gets to dip their toes in. It is the unproven quarterback tier. Now, these guys inspire hope simply because they are high draft picks in most cases who are in their first year or 2 in the NFL, whose level of play you simply just don't know about. Maybe they've shown flashes, but they haven't shown it consistently enough to show you that they're a future franchise guy guaranteed, or maybe they haven't put it together yet and you don't know if these guys are going to be able to stay as starting quarterbacks in the NFL. These guys are headlined by Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and of course the #1 overall pick of this year's draft, Kyler Murray, who is here simply because he has not even stepped foot on the NFL field yet. Now, guys like Josh Allen and Josh Rosen have showed flashes, but not as many flashes as Sam Darnold has, because Sam Darnold has tinkered that line of looking like he's somebody who can change a franchise or looking like somebody who is not going to change a franchise. So Sam Darnold is admittedly close to that edge, but we'll find out more about him this season. So there's not really much to say about this group because they haven't done a lot in this group. So this is the unproven tier. And the next tier is kind of like quarterback purgatory, where your quarterback is certainly not the problem, but he ain't really the solution. These guys are what I would call the veteran quarterback tier. Guys who can be long-term starters and have proven to be long-term, semi-stable starters at the position, but in their years of play haven't racked up the amount of accomplishments that you would expect a franchise guy to do. These guys, while they are stable, you also don't have a guy who's your quarterback who instantly makes you believe that your team is going to be a no-doubt playoff contender like a franchise quarterback would make you think. And the last criteria to be in this group is that in order to be in the veteran quarterback group, you have to not be on your rookie contract anymore. These guys are as followed: Matt Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, Andy Dalton, Derek Carr, Eli Manning, Marcus Mariota. In that order. Now, while few guys are obvious mainstays of this mid-tier group, like Kirk Cousins, Andy Dalton, and Matt Stafford, guys who have maintained a relatively good level of play, sometimes have had great seasons, but also have had mediocre seasons to kind of balance it out. There are also some surprises, and I think the most surprising name that's on this list for some people is Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is in this tier because, well, he's injury prone. He has shown incredible flashes and moments of brilliance, but none over a full season. He hasn't even started a full season's worth of games in his entire career. All that he's proven so far really is that he's injury prone. And that is a issue. And it makes me concerned that Jimmy Garoppolo, instead of being what everybody hoped he become, is going to be something more similar to Sam Bradford. And then there's Eli Manning, who many will argue does not even belong in the journeyman tier, but I think that's a little insane. Eli Manning's level of play is not something on par with a Case Keenum. While he is not exciting, while he doesn't throw the ball down the field, he has proven that he can be a reliable starter in the NFL over a number of years, and he almost has a level of accomplishments that would qualify him to be a franchise quarterback if he were more spectacular or if he were just younger. I believe Eli firmly fits in this tier. This isn't a tier of guys who you can't win a Super Bowl with. This is a tier of guys who are good but not going to carry the team on their back. And I think Eli perfectly fits in that mode. Now, the next group is the most interesting group. It's the group that is going to start the most arguments in the comment section down below. It's going to get me called all types of names and all type of stuff because we're talking about the young guys, the dynamic guys, the guys that we don't know where they're going to go, but we know they're going to be something in this league. And this tier is the pre-franchise quarterback tier. Now, the criteria for this tier is that these have to be guys who have shown a good amount that they are capable of being franchise guys or at least capable starters in the NFL, but they haven't had that one defining moment where they either become a franchise quarterback or fall into being more of a veteran mid-tier quarterback. And also, in order to be in this category, you have to be on your rookie deal still. And these guys are from top to bottom: Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, Mitchell Trubisky, and Lamar Jackson. Now, there are a few things to point out here. Carson Wentz has dropped significantly to where you thought he would have been after his second year. And that's just a testament to how injuries has really taken over the narrative of his career so far. Hopefully he can bounce back and show everybody what he was before these injuries. But as of right now, the injuries have kind of been spelling the narrative for him. And this category kind of splits off into two different directions because you have guys like Dak Prescott, Mitchell Trubisky, and arguably Jared Goff who seem to be that kind of level of quarterback. Guys who are good but can't carry a team necessarily, but they will certainly not hinder you or hold you back. And then on the flip side, you have the guys who seem like they're on their way right now to becoming franchise quarterbacks, like Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, and Carson Wentz if he can fight off injuries. Guys who have changed the entire fortune of their team, have made their teams that were laughing stocks before they stepped in become contenders. I mean, Deshaun Watson, before he stepped in at Houston, that team was headed for disaster. He came in, evaded disaster for a little bit, and then he got injured, and then they continued to tank the rest of their season. Baker Mayfield, that story has been covered enough on this channel, but look what the Browns were before him, 0-16. He comes in, they almost go over 500. And then you got Carson Wentz, who changed the outlook of Philadelphia's season, who made Philadelphia contenders and helped them build a core that eventually, while he wasn't there in the playoffs, were Super Bowl champions. These are all guys who have showed an ability to change a franchise and to be that franchise-changing quarterback. But they also haven't had those franchise quarterback defining moments yet in their career. Carson Wentz simply because of injury. Baker Mayfield hasn't had that opportunity yet and will more than likely be able to prove what he's going to be this year. Deshaun Watson, because of injury and just terrible offensive line last year, has not been able to really show what he has. But these are all guys who really look promising and are almost a step above the rest of the guys in the tier. And then you have a guy like Lamar Jackson, who is in his own kind of individual realm here. He's a dude whose future is more dependent on whether teams are going to catch up to what he does or whether what he does changes how teams scout and evaluate quarterbacks from here on. He will either be viewed as a maverick that changed the game, or he will be viewed as another guy that the league caught up to, like RG3. Now let's get into the hitters, the proven guys, the guys who have won something throughout their career, whether it be an MVP or Super Bowl championship, or they have showed an ability to have their team have prolonged success throughout their career. And the defining criteria for a franchise quarterback is a quarterback who, no matter what the circumstance, makes his team a playoff contender more than not. And these guys are as follows: Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, and Ben Roethlisberger. This is probably the least controversial part of the list. All of these guys are more than deserving of being called franchise quarterbacks, in my opinion. You have Super Bowl champions like Ben Roethlisberger and Russell Wilson. You have guys who have captured league MVP honors in Cam Newton and Matt Ryan. And then you have somebody who has proven over an extended period of time that they are one of the league's better quarterbacks in Phillip Rivers. These guys are proven and stable, and when they're healthy, you feel like your team has a good chance of making the playoffs. And at one point, a lot of these guys in their prime, in their best years, were considered elite quarterbacks, which is going to conveniently jump us into our final tier, which is the elite quarterback tier. These are franchise guys who are just playing at a higher level than everybody else. These are guys who are doing ridiculous things, whether they're putting up ridiculous video game insane numbers like Patrick Mahomes did, or whether they have proven that just their presence alone can dramatically change the fortunes of their franchise, like an Andrew Luck, or if they've proven themselves to be one of the league's top quarterbacks, if not the league's best quarterback over a number of years, like Aaron Rodgers. All of these guys are deserving of being the league's elite quarterbacks. Sure, Patrick Mahomes is young. He's still on his rookie deal. We technically don't know what he's going to do because it's only been 1 year. But when in that 1 year you put up Big 12 numbers in the NFL, you become an elite quarterback. Sure, Andrew Luck is not exciting. He's not the funnest guy to watch. But look at what he's done to that Colts franchise. They were 2-14 before he got drafted. He jumped on the team. They became 11-5. Instantly. And then when he got injured in 2015 and missed the next 3 subsequent seasons, that team was awful. They never got over 500. They finished their last season without him at an abysmal 4-12. And then suddenly Andrew Luck gets healthy and this team goes 10-6 and makes it to the second round of the playoffs. Andrew Luck is a serious game changer on a different level than the other franchise quarterbacks. And then at the fringe of the elite tier, and only because he is getting up there in age, you have Aaron Rodgers, who has proven when he is healthy, this team is always a contender. You can never count this team out. He has carried this subpar, mediocre team on his back for the last 5 years and made them contenders at the end of the season. Aaron Rodgers is one of the great quarterbacks in the NFL. And I promise you, if he's healthy this season, and if he has some kind of help this season, he's going to be an MVP candidate. So there it is, my ranking of all 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Did you like it? Do you think my rankings are just absolute garbage? Or do you think that you like where I'm going, but you like to make some tweaks there? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of my tiers and my quarterback ranking. And I would highly encourage anybody who watched a part of this video and felt a certain type of way to take it to the comment section, because I feel like the comment section in this video is about to be fire. It's about to go down in the comment section. So get down there before it get too hot. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. And if you really like my face, please ding that notification bell to know when I upload a video. I upload 3 times a week, quality content. Try to do my best. And if you have a buck or two to spare, please consider becoming a patron and having your name featured at the bottom of this awesome ticker that I have down here below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You have a great day.